What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It's your host, Adam Perez. We're back once again with a brand new update for you guys in the world of Star Wars. As if you missed it, if you've been living under a rock today, the Acolyte gave us our very first look official trailer at the brand new Disney Plus series set to go ahead and drop June 4th, giving us a 2 episode premiere, and then of course an episode after that for the next, I think, 7 weeks after that. I think in total, or maybe I should say 6 weeks. Well, no, maybe that's, yeah, 6 weeks, because we actually have 8 episodes in total. We'll definitely go ahead and get into further details for you guys as well. But we wind up getting our first look. Look, they've been hyping this up for months. They actually showed this trailer, I believe, back at a Star Wars celebration or a previous convention sometime, and they haven't really let it out of their sight. You might have had the opportunity to check out maybe the leaked version here or there, but Lucasfilm has been pretty quick to go ahead and shut it down. But today is the first day that we've actually gotten an opportunity to see the official look at the trailer. And if the point of a trailer is to get you hyped and excited, I'm sold. I am all in. If you want to go ahead and check out my reaction to it, I did go ahead and post that over on our TikTok page at Hero Report. You can go ahead and check out my reaction there if you'd like to. So I want to go ahead and take some time in this episode or this video itself to not only just give you my brief review, but the second half of this is also going to be breaking down some of the comments from the showrunner herself, Leslye Headland, who is making the press rounds right now. Now that the trailer has dropped, she's talking a little bit more about it, giving us further details into what we can expect from this 8 episode series. So we're definitely going to be breaking down more information about the series in total. So let's go ahead, man, and get into this review, shall we? First and foremost, I think the set looks incredible. I think they actually talked about in one of the interviews that they did not use the volume, which is usually typically what they've been using for things like The Mandalorian and whatnot. So, if anything, I would assume that they probably had a lot of big set pieces kind of built already, maybe some on location shots as well, and not really relying so much on the big LED screens for their VFX effects and whatnot. And so, while I love the volume, there is an aspect to set work and just being on location, I do think adds an incredible dimension in here. And so you can clearly see it when you check it out on the trailer itself. Some really great set designs, costume designs look incredible, brand new aliens. I believe Leslye Headland says she's going to be tapping into even some expanded universe lore, maybe bringing some alien species to life for the first time that we haven't really seen in live action. And you can kind of get glimpses of that already in the trailer as well. The cast in this is extremely stacked. I mean, first impressions, Carrie Ann Moss and what looks to be a pretty badass fight sequence. She's certainly no rookie when it comes to that, based off of her time when it comes to the Matrix trilogy. So I absolutely love the action pieces in here. We've got one of the Jedi Master Soul in here, played by Lee Jung Jae, most notably known from his time in Squid Game. He's going to be playing a significant role in here. Amanda Stenberg, who we saw sort of as the mysterious character that might be fighting some of these people as well. I think she might have certainly as a role as maybe like a former Padawan. I'm not quite sure. We'll definitely dive into that. Daphne Keene, who most notably known from Logan, is even in here also. She's get to plays the apprentice to Jedi Master Soul, played by Lee Jung Jae. And we also got Rebecca Henderson, who's going to be playing one of the High Republic characters from the novels that's going to be making their first live action debut in Vernestra Rwoh. So, I mean, the talent is stacked. Jodie Turner Smith is in here, Charlie Barnett. He's going to be playing a Jedi as well. So if you're looking for performances, I mean, just from this trailer alone, you can see that they're definitely going to be sinking their teeth into the script and really kind of putting their best foot forward. Again, the action looks absolutely incredible. Some amazing wire work in here. I can't wait to see what else they have in store for us. We did get the opportunity to even see some lightsaber action too. That definitely looks exciting, especially towards the end. So I do think it's going to be a pretty fair balance. There clearly seems to be some sort of murder mystery. They mentioned the idea that somebody's out there killing Jedi, which is simply no easy task. So the fact that this has sort of the Jedi Council concerned, setting some of their own Jedi to try and hunt this person down, pretty fascinating. So if I can get 8 episodes of a murder mystery sort of that evolves with each episode, getting more and more clues along the way, I'm here for it, man. So, even just the last hit, like the last 5, 10 seconds of this trailer with the red lightsaber swinging into the scene, getting an opportunity to see several lightsabers ignited, all various colors from yellow, blue, green sort of thing, kind of charging in battle before being pushed backwards. If that person can do that to all those Jedi, they're not joking around whatsoever. So there's a huge threat out in this galaxy. And I just think aesthetically, visually, it's stunning. I think we're going to have a lot of different things that we haven't really seen in Star Wars before. Maybe like a little bit of a mixture of both. I think in even some of these interviews that we'll talk about for Leslye Headland, she mentions the idea that there's a little bit of Andor in here and a little bit of Mandalorian in regards to sort of like the aspect of how they want to kind of tell their story. But clearly, Leslye Headland has been working on this story for quite some time. So I'm really eager to see what we have in store here when it comes to the Acolyte. But first impressions, I'm ready, man. I'm ready for June 4th to certainly get here. Look, if there's anything in particular that I missed or anything that you guys want to go ahead and further highlight, let me know in the comment section box below. I'll definitely go ahead and continue to talk with you guys. I love talking Star Wars in general. So we can definitely go ahead and nitpick this trailer a little bit more. But with that out of the way, I think it's time that we get into some of the news and the information that Leslye Headland is going to be talking about. And don't worry, after we post this video, I will go back and put timestamps for you guys if you want to jump back and forth from the review or to some of the bits of information Leslye Headland talks about. I'll definitely have that easily accessible for you guys. So let's go ahead and get into this, man. The first article. Oops, look at that. I didn't even have. Well, there's the cast. If you guys were looking to see who some of the cast members in here, there you go. That's exactly what I was reading off of. But the lady of the hour is, in fact, Leslye Headland here. Smiling ear to ear, as she should be after this incredible trailer that they wind up dropping for us today. I'm not going to read everything word for word, but we will skim through maybe several articles. I'll go ahead and put links in the description box below too if you guys want to go ahead and read these in full. But one of the more insightful ones that I personally found was the Collider.com. I think Stephen Weintraub or whatever his name is, I can't remember the writer's name in here or the person that did the interview. Steve Weintraub. He actually got a lot of juicy information for the limited time that he actually had with her. And you can actually see some of the Jedi Masters that they have here also in just one of this picture. I'm not going to play the video for you guys, but there's even a Wookiee Jedi Master in here as well. I believe the one all the way in the back with the robe, the hoodie on, I believe that is in fact Daphne Keen's character, who is the apprentice to Jedi Master Soul in here. Let's see here. So they talk a little bit about the trailer itself. She says, is this series more Andor or more Mandalorian? She says, I think it's in between. I think it's very much in between, meaning it's a serialized story. It's not episodic. So there's an overarching story that's told over the course of 8 episodes. So there you go. We got 8 episodes in store. It's a mystery thriller, meaning each episode you have to watch in order to get more information and to start to get invested. I found with Andor, it really built into something that was exciting and had an incredible payoff at the end. We're definitely trying to do something similar narratively. And she's absolutely right. When it comes to Andor, I think first off, the level of Andor storytelling by Tony Gilroy was just on a whole nother level. I think even Tony Gilroy mentions it's definitely Star Wars for grown-ups. I think this is certainly going to be maybe a little bit more in between, but if you've ever seen any of Leslye Headland's stuff, especially her previous series Russian Doll, it can get pretty heavy. So the fact that they're kind of taking a little bit of both, maybe the sort of level of storytelling from Andor, but the pacing of a series very much similar to that of The Mandalorian. But I would say in terms of more Mandalorian aspects of it, there's a lot of alien references, a lot of Clone Wars references, a lot of original trilogy references, basically all the stuff that I love about Star Wars and I think are recognizable, but no post-Empire, no current Empire iconography, so no stormtroopers. We don't have anything to rely on those anchors that anchors you in the Skywalker saga and post Skywalker saga. So very much what I think Mandalorian does great as they do have some great Easter eggs. They do have a lot of references from the past here. What's fascinating to me is with this series taking place anywhere between 100 to 50 years before the Phantom Menace, the fact that there are Clone Wars references, I think is really key here, especially a lot of original trilogy references in the sense of events that happened here, or things that we see in here certainly will either be seen again or have later impact as we get into Clone Wars and the original trilogy. So you're constantly using these moments to kind of build up to other things, and so I kind of dig that. I kind of dig that. In the trailer, there's a line that someone says, someone is killing Jedi. It doesn't make sense. What can you tease about that line? And she says, well, I think it's really difficult to defeat a Jedi. It doesn't make any sense. Who can do that? Who would be powerful enough to kill a Jedi, especially at the height of their power? And I would consider this to be the height of their power, because the Phantom Menace, they're not sensing the Sith's presence to the point where they don't know what Palpatine's presence is doing, or even what his intentions are. So I would say as you move further back, I think you get the Jedi at the height of their power. So it doesn't make sense, because who would be able to do that? And if you are reading anything like the High Republic era, which again, if you like reading, if you like novels, if you like reading in general, if you are a Star Wars fan, I highly recommend picking up the High Republic. The first book out of this series, Light of the Jedi, is a great launching point, and you really do get the opportunity to kind of see the abilities of what the Jedi are and really what they are sort of at the height of their power. This series clearly coming towards the tail end of that, towards the end of the High Republic era as we get into the prequels. And so she's definitely right about that. She says Joni Turner Smith, who is this character that we've seen in the trailer. This is about power, she says, and who is allowed to use it. What would you like to say about that? So Headland says, I've always seen Star Wars as, well, I wouldn't say all of Star Wars. I think Star Wars is really complicated, but I think one of the themes of Star Wars is usually underdog versus institutional threat. That's one aspect of it. And to me, in that particular era of the Jedi are not a threat at all. They're benevolent, balanced. I think they're well-intentioned, beautiful institution that has amassed an enormous amount of power. So the question becomes: is it right for an institute to have that much power? I think that sometimes people get a little caught up in the morality of, oh, the good people can use power and bad people can't. And it's more about who is allowed to amass power and who is allowed to use it for their own ends. He says, what if you are force sensitive and you don't want to become a Jedi? What happens then? Are you not allowed to utilize your power? George would say that it fades without training, but is there no training going on at all in the whole galaxy? No one has figured out a way to do that beyond the Jedi. Obviously, we know that Sith are still doing the rule of two at this point, so there's a training aspect going on in that sense. You have Force Witches, which is who Jodie Turner Smith is going to be representing in this as well. Similar to Night Sisters, who are training each other. We know that. There are no Night Sisters in the show, though, but we just know that there are different factions. And even in the extended universe and in the High Republic, there's talk of Force cults that have decided to retreat from society. He says, and now I'm getting too nerdy, but anyway, the point being, it's an institution. If it is an institution allowed to amass the amount of power, even if their intentions are quote-unquote good. He also says there's part of the trailer where the Jedi are lighting up their lightsabers, getting ready for a fight. Is that a one-off in the series? What could you tease about that fight? And she says, I think what I could say about that without spoiling anything is that when I was thinking about the Jedi in this particular era, I thought they wouldn't pull out their lightsabers very often in this era. There aren't battle droids to fight. There isn't a dark saber. It exists at this point, but it's definitely not around. So why would they pull their lightsabers? They would only pull their lightsabers if they felt that they were really being threatened. And so what I can say is that they are very threatened at that moment when they pull them out. And I think that honestly speaks volumes, if you ask me. The idea that, again, and I also think that goes to show you the pacing of this this series that we're not going to be getting a ton of lightsaber battles throughout every sort of 8 episodes that we certainly get. I mean, clearly we did see some action sequences in here where they are fighting without any lightsabers, right? I think the mystery person had was wielding some sort of knife. Carrie Ann Moss just using her force abilities in her hands. Same thing with Master Soul that we see in here as he winds up getting a kick to the head, but he uses his hands, sort of thing, right? So a very sort of self-defense, it looks like, sort of ways of fighting without necessarily having to ignite their lightsaber. But towards the end of the series, when they see that red lightsaber, they definitely know ish is about to certainly go down. So I do wonder what sequence that scene is from. Is that from the very end of the show? Are we not going to really see a lot of lightsaber battles through the first like 7 episodes or so? But I do think it's a pretty interesting kind of perspective and point of view that she certainly has as to why pull it out if you're not really feeling threatened. You know what I mean? Also, right after the shot is a shot of a red lightsaber flying through the trees. I believe the series is 8 episodes. Are the episodes 30 minutes or more like an hour? And this is where Headland says something I'm just not a fan of personally. She says, about 30 minutes, yeah. I would say some are a little bit longer, like the finale, I think, is 40 minutes. But there are also some that I think are barely 30 minutes. On average, I would say anywhere between 30 to 35 minutes. And mistaken upon, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Andor was longer than that. I think the episodes did last longer. And that's the type of like material that I really want to sink my teeth into and enjoy. Sitting down for like an adult series, if you will, and having just a ton of context to really enjoy. So if there is, I guess, any other comparison to Mandalorian, this is certainly where it would come in. As excited for this series as I am, the notion of 30-minute episodes is a little bit of a bummer to me. Look, it's definitely one of those things that'll certainly keep me coming back for more. That's for sure. But man, I really wish that there was more time to kind of explore each and every one of these episodes. But so 30 to 35 minutes for 8 episodes. And he says, do you consider this like a 4-hour movie? And she says, I don't. I would consider Russian Doll that. I think that it was this continuous thing, like a really good album. It was meant to be sat and watched and listened to and all that kind of stuff. But I actually think this is a more weekly experience. And I think it's good that it's weekly experience because I think when you're dealing with really heavy issues, especially in Star Wars, I think having a break for a week is actually a good idea. Because when Luke says in The Last Jedi, it's time for the Jedi to end, it might be nice to have a week after that. You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean? Let's have a capital D discourse about it. So I don't see it as a 4-hour movie, no. So that's also kind of concurrent to what I was just talking about, though. Not to say that The Mandalorian lacks any sort of level of depth, but sometimes it just feels very easy to breeze through a Mandalorian episode when it comes in at like 30, 32 minutes sort of thing. But it sounds like, again, if you have to see The Russian Doll, it can deal with some heavy material. And so it sounds like even at 30 minutes or 35 minutes, there's still going to be really heavy issues in here that either get revealed or explored, whatever the case may be. Concepts that the Jedi and the Council and maybe senators certainly have to kind of think about a little bit, especially when you're dealing with a murder or mystery thriller. So, if it is one of those things where it's like, man, after this 30 minutes, 35 minutes, I need to sit back and actually think on what I just watched sort of thing, that does feel kind of heavy. So I am hoping that is the mentality that we have here. As far as the idea of a possibility of a season 2, do you view this as a 1-season show? She says, I would say that when I pitched it, I definitely pitched it as a multi-season show. There are a lot of things at the end of this season that I think are narrative threads that are not tied up for sure. However, I am the type of writer that's not interested in an emotional cliffhanger. I want you to feel like you've had a particular type of catharsis and an emotional experience in watching those 8 episodes because I like rewarding the audience with that. I still think that means that you can pepper in things that are like, I want to see where that's going to go, and oh, I didn't realize that person was related to that person in this way, and I like to see more. But there isn't something where you feel like you're on the edge of your seat to have that catharsis, and then you have to wait 2 years. These things take forever to make, so I would hate to make a season that didn't feel complete, even if it was still open for more story. Thank God. Thank God. So it almost very much feels like whatever the issue is at the end of season 1 will probably be wrapped up neatly. But the idea of there maybe still being some loose threads out there that can eventually be picked up and explored even more to maybe push the story even further, I think is pretty promising because, again, while I do love me a great cliffhanger, there is something rewarding about feeling like, man, I just sat down, had a nice meal, complete meal, had my dessert too, and now I can wait for the second helping of it, sort of thing. So I have no problem with that whatsoever. Have you figured out what season 2 would be like? Do you have scripts? She says, we can make it pretty quickly. We definitely have a timeline. I have a lot of ideas. And again, a lot of the stuff that I told Kennedy early on in terms of where I would like the seasons to go and the conflicts that I see happening, specifically in the second season. But I have been working nonstop on this for a very long time, so I'm definitely taking a much needed break before we get a writer's room together. So I am kind of curious how long it's been since she's wrapped the show. I mean, I know she's clearly doing the press tours right now. I mean, who knows? Maybe they're still editing some stuff in post-production before it's actually ready to be revealed in June. So I would be kind of curious as to when or if they even announce a second season. She said, I like to see how the show performs. I'm very interested in that. I'm interested in seeing, like you said, the ratings and seeing what the things are that people, I don't want to say it's in reaction to fan reaction, but you do get feedback at the end of the season, which is kind of nice, just to be like, okay, those people hated that. You know, it doesn't mean we don't do it. It just means we're armed with the information that it wasn't a popular thing. So we can do it anyway, but knowing that stuff I think is really good. I think they would love to start immediately. They're very happy with this series, but I need a break. I also have a baby. I don't know where the baby came from. I know she's giving me a cold, so that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Also, for those of you who are High Republic fans, I thought this was a great piece of information in here as well, where she goes to talk about we know that Vernestra Rwoh is in the Acolyte, played by Rebecca Henderson, while other characters from the High Republic book make an appearance. She says, look, I'm going to be straight with you. They do not. That's a little bit of a bummer for me, but considering just how far along this series takes place after the High Republic novels, I mean, this is like 100 years probably from the start of the very first book. So the notion of other people popping up in and out, at least maybe not in season 1, I can understand the idea of it only being Vernestra. She says part of that is because I want to save some people for season 2, so apparently they will be coming back. I really focused on Vern. Vern was a character that I really jumped out to me immediately as someone that I wanted to see an arc for, where we were with the Jedi when we come into the story. A character that started out as a prodigy. I think she became a Jedi Knight at the age of like 15. Someone powerfully connected to the Force, almost in love with the Force, but also sassy enough to make her lightsaber into a whip. Someone with that experimentation, that energy, and then to see who she is in our show and what happens over the course of becoming a more powerful Jedi and going from mission to mission to council meetings and protocol. And how do we keep this institution going? How do we check it? How do we negotiate the level of power that we have? She's massively respected and considered to be one of the most powerful Jedi at this particular time period. I hope the High Republic fans are excited by the white robes, because we really were intent on using them, not only because it was a nod to the books, but also because I think it's thematically explains a lot. They're not getting into a bunch of skirmishes, you know, they're wearing all white because not much is happening. Connecting those with the brown robes that you usually see Jedi in the mission robe. The robes, they would get dirty, they'd be fun things to pull. You're going to see some stuff from the EU. You're going to see some aliens from Clone Wars in there, references to special editions. There's a lot of fun stuff in there, not necessarily connected to the Mandalorian or the Skywalker saga. So for me, as a High Republic fan, the idea that Vernestra Rwoh is even going to be in this series gives me a lot of hope and a lot of excitement. And I think the fact that she even highlights that she's going to be using her quite often in this particular series is promising. I honestly thought she was going to be like a quick cameo or sort of like a one-off situation here, but not really. It looks like she's going to be having a pretty huge role, and that's really exciting to kind of see that after all these books, Vernestra Rwoh still is playing a pivotal part when it comes to the Jedi Order. So great stuff there. She also has another one at Entertainment Weekly where she breaks down the first trailer for her underdog sort of Sith story. And again, I'll go ahead and put all this in the link below if you want to explore it more. She says, I really wanted to tell a story about the Sith. That was kind of my dream Star Wars idea, but it felt like the time period to do it would be something pre-Phantom Menace. That seemed to be the most interesting trajectory for the Sith. How did the Sith go from the rule of two and being quote unquote instinct to Palpatine coming into power without the Jedi knowing it? They also talked about oh, he says, I love the idea of a character that was unknowable in her goodness or badness. Strategically, our costume design, Jennifer Bryan and I talked about how George Lucas utilized color and how purple was a color you didn't see very often. Palpatine wears it, but it's that idea that blue and red sort of make purple. And there is a shot in here of Amandla Stenberg's character sort of in a purple robe, which I thought was pretty fascinating. They also talk a little bit about Carrie-Anne Moss, along with Amandla Stenberg, kind of really doing their own stunts here. She said Headland wanted the show to showcase elements of wuxia martial arts and the classic samurai films that originally inspired George Lucas, and she praises Stenberg for her jaw-dropping action skills. We used to call Amandla Bruce Lee because she was too fast. We had to keep saying, you have to slow down. The camera's not picking up that it's you. You look like your stunt double sort of thing. She also talks about Daphne Keane being in here from Logan. She says, Charlie and I worked on Russian Doll, and I was like, we have to get Daphne, period. I just wanted to see X-23 with the lightsaber in her hand. That has to happen. So Leslye Headland sounds like she's a pretty big nerd herself, honestly. She says, I think with Star Wars, it always starts out with some sort of underdog versus the institutional threat and its fraught familial issue that needs to be resolved. I think both of those appear in the show, just in ways that are turned on their head. So yeah, the idea of the Sith being underdogs in the story is pretty promising itself. And then last but not least, there is one from StarWars.com that has the opportunity to talk with Leslye Headland as well, as she kind of dives into it a little bit. Let me see what she talks about in this one. She says, I was really impressed with Carrie-Anne Moss, Amandla Stenberg, and Lee Jong-jae. He really blew me away with how much of his own action he did. That way, they challenged themselves. They understood that it was important emotionally for the audiences to see their face. She says the series is a love letter to some of Headland's favorite martial arts sagas and samurai films like Come Drink With Me and Yojimbo, with a fighting style crafted with wushu. Given that the era of the High Republic is a time free of galaxy embroiling wars, Headland chose to focus her storytelling on more personal conflicts and smaller one-on-one battles to reveal new characters on screen. And I think that's pretty brilliant, if you ask me. But yeah, guys, plenty more to definitely go ahead and explore in here. I think even they posted the idea, and I believe that's Amandla Stenberg's character there as well. But they also did go ahead and post some new character descriptions for some of these characters that you see in the series itself. So if you want to learn about some of these Jedi Masters a little bit and how some of them are definitely connected, I certainly would recommend it. But yeah, guys, great stuff when it comes to the Acolyte. I know a lot of information there for you guys, but certainly a lot to enjoy and look forward to. Again, June 4th, to premiere episode debut on Disney Plus. If you don't got a Disney Plus account, go get yourself one. I think you guys are going to be super pumped about this, to certainly say the least. But great first impression for a trailer. Let's go. I'm so excited for this. You guys have no idea. But at the end of the day, I want to know some of your thoughts from some of the things that we broke down, maybe some of the things that you've read yourself personally. What kind of pops out to you? What are things that you're hoping to see and hear? Now that you know a little bit more about it, is your hype machine up? Are you more curious than ever? I definitely want to go ahead and know your thoughts, and let's chat it up, man. Let's talk a little bit more Star Wars in the comment section box below, because at the end of the day, these are just simply my A+ opinions. I want to know yours. So let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. And until next time, do me a big favor as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.